Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box, where it was on this week in '79 that Led Zeppelin played what ended up being some of their final concerts. And the one that I'm talking about is, of course, at the Knebworth Festival. It had been a long time since they had done a big show. Some people thought they'd be rusty, but I think, if you'll pardon the pun, Zeppelin fans, it was something of a swan song. And I think sort of late Zeppelin performances do not get the credit they deserve because by this time they were always a great live band, but they were a well-oiled machine. And even though Jimmy Page was sometimes more into other things than he ought to have been, this performance was perfect. And they officially have released parts of it, but they really ought to really officially release all of it. But you can see a very decent quality, I would say a borderline high quality version of it that's floating around out there on YouTube and other corners of the interweb. And you can really see them at their finest. And because they were playing in support of their lost sort of proper album, which is In Through the Outdoor, one of my very favorites, you really get a great sample of all of the Led Zeppelin music from the first album right up until what was then their latest release. The whole band was really in fine form. So definitely, if you have time this week, check out the videos circulating online of the full Nebworth 1979 performance. Now, one thing you might notice is that John Paul Jones had a very interesting looking keyboard, where in previous tours he'd have things like a Mellotron for the string sounds, he'd have his Fender Rhodes electric piano, he'd have his clavinet for things like trampled underfoot, foot, foot. For this final tour, he had an instrument that appears on the In Through the Outdoor album, and it's one of the most elaborate, one of the most expensive, one of the most interesting, and one of the best looking synthesizers of all time, and it's called the Yamaha GX1. It had three registers, so three levels of keyboards, and it sort of combined your polyphonic synthesizer, your sort of synth organ style pedals for the bass, a lead synth, and it was really designed to be the everything keyboard. It was huge, but the idea was you could replace your Mini Moog, your Mellotron, your Hammond organ, your various other synthesizers, your electric pianos, all in one. And it was a very beautiful sounding instrument. The multiple sounds that it could produce, I think, were very distinct, very rich, very unique. Although, other smaller but still important Yamaha keyboards of the day did have somewhat similar sounds, but this was the sort of granddaddy of them all. And hearing John Paul Jones play it and seeing him on these Nebworth videos, it really gives you an idea of just how versatile this instrument was. So while you're watching that concert, definitely check it out. Not that many people played one, let alone live. ELP, starting in the '70s and on the other Keith Emerson projects into the '80s, had one of these. Stevie Wonder had one. I think it was Bjorn Anderson from ABBA who had one, but it was a rare instrument because it was big and it was expensive. And the Knebworth Festival that Zeppelin played is one of your best opportunities to see it in action. So check out the great concert and keep your eyes open for the GX1. As always, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.